Hey everyone, LongTime here, and welcome to another Ever Crisis guide. Thank you to everyone that watched the Shiva Very Hard guide, and hopefully that helped you beat that quest, but there are some people in the comments that have still not beaten Ifrit Very Hard, which is going to be the main focus for today. Ifrit Very Hard is the weakest of the summon fights that we currently have between Ifrit, Shiva, and Ramuh. I would say it's also probably the shortest one as it only really has like 4 phases. For this guide, I'm going to be using a team that should be fairly easy to emulate, or you should be able to have a power level that's even higher, as I've removed most of the really good equipment from my characters. So let's cool down Ifrit and get into this guide. So now going over our team, if I were to use everything that I had at my disposal, this is probably what my team would look like. I would use Sephiroth, I would use his nice edged wings. Cloud, I have this fully boosted up Shiva weapon just to do that little bit of that extra damage. Aerith with her big solid heals. I would have my level 5 Diamond Dust, but for this, we're not going to use any of that. Instead, this is the party that we're going to use. We're going to be using Tifa, Sephiroth, and Red 13. Realistically, we're not using any sort of crazy weapons. I'm not even using the edged wings from Sephiroth. I'm trying to limit it. That's just, you see, the only thing that has an overboost is this Sonic Strikers, and really it's the next best R ability weapon that my Tifa currently has. The main things that you're going to want for Ifrit Very Hard is some ice damage, your X sigils, and the Diamond Sigil if you have it. If not, don't worry, there's still very few characters that even have it between Barret, Lucia, and Glenn. Ifrit himself is weak to ice, resistant to fire. He's immune to all status effects, as well as immune to any attack down and any magic attack down. So you're not going to make him hit harder by debuffing him, but you are going to be able to make him hit harder by just doing a lot of ice damage that we're going to see in the future. For limit breaks for Tifa, I am rocking her Somersault, which is going to lower Ifrit's physical and magic defense. For Sephiroth, I'm going to be running him with Shiva's Whiteout. Again, it is level 5, but I am assuming that with this, if you're trying to beat Ifrit Very Hard, chances are you have not beat Shiva Very Hard, so I'm not going to expect you to have Diamond Dust. So a level 5 Whiteout is, you can farm it enough, you can farm Shiva normal hard. Whiteout, this is one of the main things that is going to help you in this fight, so I do recommend building up to level 5 because you're going to need it level 5 eventually. For Red 13, interesting enough, I'm going to go with Lunatic High. Though it has a slow charge speed, it does give a physical and magic defense increase. The heal is negligible, you don't really need to worry about that. It's a nice little AoE buff that makes me not have to worry about healing quite as hard. For the materia side of things, really you just need a form of ice damage for everyone. I have Blizzard Blows on both Tifa and Red 13. I just have a normal Blizzard attached to Sephiroth as he's just more of a magic user. Ifrit himself is not specifically strong to either physical or magic damage. You just need ice damage against him. The rest of the materia that we are using, we're making sure that everyone has some form of Ruin that has the X sigil on it. It doesn't really matter if you're going to use Ruin Blow or just, it really doesn't matter. You just need some X sigils. In this situation here, having a character that has the X sigil boost on top of it, which would be my Red 13 with his Seaside Collar, the X sigil boost, it's going to help a lot. There is a sigil phase for Ifrit, which actually can be pretty damn tight. We'll go over another thing that's going to help the sigil phase in just a second once we're done the materia. And then finishing it all off, I just have the Cura over here for Tifa is honestly pretty redundant in this run. And then I have a cheaper heal for my Sephiroth, and then Red 13 has a big Cura that can just do a good amount of extra healing, because the main source of healing for this entire team are these level 70 lifeguard wraps, which you can see that this is not going to heal anywhere close to either what a Matt or an Aerith would heal. We're going to quickly go over top of everyone's sub weapons that we have. Realistically, I only have one crazy sub, not even crazy, but one really good sub equipment, and that would be my Fairy Tail here. That is the only thing that I kind of gave a bit extra, just purely for this extra high healing. I could get this high 23 from a different thing. The Earth Resist does nothing. The stats are nice, but yeah, that is it. So we're just going to go over the sub weapons. I have the Guard Stick, which is the much bigger healing stat to try and boost up my Tifa. Stats, nothing too crazy over here. Again, we're rocking the Shiva. You could get it less. Just the boost HP and the fire resist is nice, so my Shiva doesn't take much damage. You're going to notice that I really don't take that much damage in this fight. For Sephiroth, we're boosting just HP. I have the edged wings actually over here just to boost that magical attack and a little bit more ice potency for his blizzards. And then for Red 13, attack up with the Zweihander, and then Murasama, a little bit of physical, and then the Mad Minute for a little bit more HP and the boost physical ability. The final little tech that I enjoyed with this team is is really, it's really the Nameless. With the Telluric Fury doing only 2 ATB, that is drastically gonna help when I'm trying to go through the sigil breaking phase with those diamonds, because I don't have a diamond sigil here. Again, Barrett, Glenn, and Lucia are the only ones that actually have a diamond weapon, and just that 2 ATB on the Telluric Fury on the Nameless is going to help that phase out a lot. Almost basically 100% of my damage comes from the Blizzard blows, and then the Shiva. But enough about the setup, let's get into the fights. The first phase of Ifrit Very Hard is just against 2 of these fire Ragnatas. So as you can see, we have the stats over here. They're weak to ice. They also, these prefer to get Blizzard blowed. As long as you do not let them fire dance and just AoE your team completely down, this phase is pretty fast. Up for phase 2, for wave 2, we have a Fiery Condor and 2 bombs. For the Fiery Condor, they are weaker to physical. The bombs, they're weak to ice in general. For this, you need to watch out. The Fiery Condor can do a surprising amount of damage, but basically you just want to really focus down one of those bombs before it explodes, and now you can start to deal with that Fiery Condor. That Piercing Beak into his AoE move, the Piercing Beak can do a lot of surprise damage. I had to redo this video once or twice with this specific team because I just didn't heal in time and I got pecked just straight to death. It's just what's going to keep rotating through. It's going to be either this Heat Wave or the Piercing Break. As soon as one bomb is down, you don't really need to worry too much about the other bomb. So just switch into defense, heal up with your healers you can. There's no real time constraint. You don't need to use any of your limit breaks. I like to use Somersault for my Tifa here because it has such a short casting time. So I'm just going to take this nice and slow and push through. Don't need to worry about any other limit breaks. Just throw the Blizzard out where we can. Throw the limits where we can. The AI, for some reason, when I was doing this fight, did not want to use ATB for the life of them. This is also slightly sped up. As you can see, I am on semi. I have this at normal pace, so I can really control what my characters are kind of doing. It just Piercing Beaked my Red 13 from full to basically half, along with that bomb also going through. So you have to respect this a little bit. I will throw my Somersault out just so I can kill this bomb nice and quick. Okay? And then after this, we're just going to get right onto Ifrit and trying to beat this quick boy, because Ifrit, he does not have a lot of HP, only 4 phases, so it's going to go relatively quick. You can see that the burst, it's getting close here. My AI is not wanting to throw out abilities, so make sure that you blow up the bombs before they blow you up. The Fire Demon Ifrit is going to waste no time getting right into phase 1, starting off with Harness Magic, which is going to build up that ignition bar. That ignition bar there can only be lowered by any form of ice damage that you have, be it your Blizzard blows, or your Shiva Whiteout. You do not want to use your Shiva Whiteout till after he's done his 3 punches. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to see a 4th named ability, which is going to be called here Flame Hammer, which was used on my Red 13. Once he has thrown out that Flame Hammer, you are good to now throw out your Whiteout to try and lower that bar as much as you can. You're going to see here that it's going to take a massive chunk. If you do it too early, that Flame Hammer is going to give a big boost, and then that Flame Charge at the end is going to just... It's going to chip away. It's going to hurt. That Flame Charge can potentially one-shot your characters if you cannot lower this ignition bar far enough. But though, after he's used that Flame Hammer, you're just good to DPS. Don't worry. Just keep using your ice damage. Get it as low as you can. Make sure that the character that is being targeted has enough heals so they do not just die to this charge attack. And as soon as that charge is over, that's it. You're going to get a little bit of moment here, but we're going to swing right into the next phase, with Ifrit's next phase being the Incinerate. And as I said, Incinerate basically equals sigil time. There's going to be 40 X sigils and 10 diamond sigils. You're going to try and just spam your ruins, whatever you can to lower that X. There's going to be a little gauge right on top of his HP where you can see Hellfire. The more sigils that you're breaking at this time, the less that Hellfire is going to do. So make sure you're doing as much sigil damage before that Hellfire gets off. Try and switch into defense form so that Hellfire is going to do a little bit less. For my Sephiroth here, that Telluric Fury only being 2 ATB, that's going to do a really good job at dealing with these diamond sigils and trying to get this down. If this bar is able to fill, he will do another Hellfire, and you're going to get to skip out on this break phase, which is key to being able to beat the DPS timer that you would want for this fight. Luckily, Telluric Fury and other things, I get that interrupt, and so now my characters just get to go ham and DPS. Just, if he's frozen, why not take advantage of it? Okay? My AI, again, being a little slow. If you're going to have to switch through just as fast here, that's fine. Get a couple heals in because we're now going to go right into phase 3, which is the Crimson Dive. Very similar to the charge of phase 1, but instead of doing 3 punches, he is going to do 2 AoE attacks. He's going to do a heat wave, and then he's going to follow up. This is going to raise his ignition much faster. So we're going to get that heat wave followed by a flame impact. At this point here is when you're able to now throw out that whiteouts, because you're going to see that Crimson Dive is just about to finish. Big AoE, you want to lower that ignition bar as much as you physically can. Realistically, at this point as well, I could have used Red 13's Limit Break. That would have done that extra little bit of damage towards my Shiva. I forgot, so I just threw it out now so this Crimson Dive wouldn't hit my team quite as hard. So as long as you survive this Crimson Dive, then it just becomes a pure DPS race to the end. I was able to get a heal off. We have a boost physical and magic up, even though that you can see the sword beside the Crimson Dive, so you know it does physical damage. I survive, so from here on, we are in the final phase. You do not need to heal anymore at this point, just DPS. Switch between your characters, use the ATB as much as you can, because as you can see, that ignition bar is full. It will not lower, so you need to kill him before that little skull timer gets out in that top left hand corner of his name. If that reaches to the top and that hellfire goes off, you lose. So that is it. That is Ifrit Very Hard. It's a big DPS race. There's not too many mechanics as long as you can survive either breaking the sigils and just surviving some of his charge moves. Ifrit is much easier than Shiva Hard. Does not mean he is an easy fight for beginner characters. You do want to have enough damage and just life to be able to survive. Hopefully with this, you're going to have an easier time beating the Ifrit Very Hard. So hopefully you enjoyed that Ifrit Very Hard guide. I think that this team is perfectly acceptable to be able to mirror. Let me know, like, if you are still having issues, like what can we do with your team? What characters are you using? What equipments? The sub equipments can be very helpful as well. Just making sure that you have those extra stats. Like, as you can see from most of my damage, it all came from materia from this fight. I didn't have any special abilities. The only ability that I really used was the nameless one for Sephiroth, which we all get anyways, and the Lifeguard Wraps for Tifa, which there's abnormal fairy tale is already a stronger weapon. Sure, it's 4 ATB instead of 5, but that's besides the point. Please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. I'm really enjoying making this Ever Crisis content for you guys. So yeah, let me know. Subs, they mean a lot. Comments down below. All the forms of interaction is really helping YouTube know that you guys are enjoying this content. I also stream Ever Crisis on Twitch at twitch.tv/longtimetwitch. Link in the description down below if you want to come watch some Ever Crisis live. The next guide that I'm trying to put out is for Ramu Very Hard, as well as I'm going to get to a high score guide. I am not completely happy with my high score just yet. I am over 2 mil, so it is close. And for the Ramu guide, just my Cloud, this sword kind of trivializes the fight, and so I need to find another strategy that does not include my Maritime sword right now. So look forward to both of those in the next coming week, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.